I would like to call the meeting to order. Please join me. Please stand.
President Reyes,
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli,
Here.
Trustee Acosta,
Here.
Trustee Alam, Trustee Chang,
Here.
Trustee Duval,
Yes.
Trustee Palermo,
Here.
Trustee Parkinson, Trustee Rodas. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of any public body at which any business affecting their interests is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with provisions of this act, the School Business Administrative Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing time and place thereof, agenda, etc. New Jersey Journal, the Administration Bulletin Board, and the district website. For communications this evening, first I just wanted to remind the board at the meeting that we had earlier this month, I think it was June 11th, if my memory's right, the date, that I passed out to the board members all the information that you needed to log on to the New Jersey School Board's website to complete the superintendent's evaluation and the board's self-evaluation. As of 2 days ago, I received correspondence from the board, the New Jersey School Board representative, that no board members have yet completed that. I encourage you to do that statutorily, and it should be done by June 30th. So I provided you with all the paperwork that you needed. You should have received an email from New Jersey School Boards with the instructions on how to log on. If you need help, I will be in the office. Please contact me and I'd be glad to help you accomplish that task. If you believe that you have a conflict, Mr. Parkinson, you contacted me. I think you can do the board self-evaluation piece though. If you have any conflict or whatever, please let me know, so that way I'll let our representative from school boards know. The other thing that I'd like to call to the board's attention is that tonight will be the first reading of a couple policies. The one that I wanted to call to your attention was at the last board meeting, the board members discussed the possibility of having 2 board meetings a month, one where they would have a work session, a work meeting where everything would be discussed with the board members, and then come back a week later and then vote on all the items on the agenda. And in order to do that, I had mentioned at the meeting last week that the bylaw 0164 conduct of board meetings needed to be modified in order to accomplish that task. I took the liberty at the board's direction to take a first shot at modifying that policy in order to accomplish that task. So if you had, I don't know if you had a chance to look that over, if you have any comments or want to make any changes to the policy, please let me know so that way we can correct it before we'll advance it at our next meeting for second reading and adoption. That's it. This is at the board's pleasure. If you don't want to do this and you want to keep the policy the way it was, I also included in the packet on board docs and also the people who receive them in paper. I enclosed both the current policy, the way it stands now, and the proposed policy. If there's any questions or comments.
Board Secretary. Wait, check. Board Secretary, my reading of the bylaws is that.
I can hear you.
No, mine.
Testing.
Board Secretary, my reading of the bylaws is that the amendments of the bylaws would have to come at the first readings. The readings would be at regular meetings, not at board sessions. So this wouldn't be the first reading.
Okay, well, the board, I wanted the board to look this over and make any comments. If you have any suggestions for change or whatever, you can let me know, and then we'll have a first reading. But I wanted to, at the board's direction at the last meeting, I wanted to get the ball rolling at your direction.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yes. Hello? You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, I want to keep only one meeting, not 2 meetings. Just one is enough. Councilor, I don't want any change now if possible.
We just, we discussed the need for work sessions, and the second session, that's the way meetings are supposed to be conducted. Otherwise, we have no opportunity to know what's going on and what we're asked to vote for, and there's no opportunity to discuss anything. So the work session should precede the regular session, and that is the proper way to conduct meetings.
At first I thought it was a good idea, but I just think it's going to be tough for everybody, especially with the board members here who have kids, you know, who work maybe 2 jobs. You know, to have two meetings a month, it's, you know, some people have school. You know, commuting back and forth from New York City, and especially at the time when the meetings start, being that it's 5:30, that's, you know, rush hour. And, you know, at first I thought it was a good idea, but now I'm not too.
Well, I also commute from Manhattan, and I have to leave work early, but if it's something that has to be done, it has to be done. And in fact, on June 7th, I attended a mandatory ethics training session given by the New Jersey School Boards Association, and I actually asked one of the instructors there about how the meetings should be conducted. And she said you absolutely should have a work session that precedes the regular session so that you know what you're voting on and you know what's going to be presented.
I have an opinion. I think if you send the board all the information like 10 days earlier, would be better, because sometimes you only send it a week. We read at home, we go through this. If we have any question, I know you always, Mr. Fauta and Mr. Francheras, always there to answer any question. So I think it's enough. It's better the way we do it now.
Excuse me. Presently, we have a morning meeting. Approximately 1 week before, but is only open to 4 members. Is that correct, Kevin?
That's correct, because if more than 4 were to attend, then it would have to be advertised as a public meeting. And that's why only 4 members can come, because you can't have a quorum of the board present.
Okay. Can we have that changed so that we could have it in the morning? So when people could come. I mean, my thing is, because of the people who go in the morning, you really get some information that's not given ahead of time, and you get to question things. So is there a way that we could increase that if people wanted to come from the board? In other words, could members of the board not be limited to 4?
The only way to do that is to advertise it as a public meeting and open it to the public, which would be the work session.
Maybe we can protect the members and do the resolution meeting, protect the members, and have the normal meeting every month. I believe 2 meetings is too much.
Madam Chair, may I chime in? Just to echo what the board secretary said, the current Wednesday meeting that's held with the administration is a committee meeting. Just want to make sure the public is clear. It's not a open board meeting, it's a committee meeting open to and attended by less than a quorum of the board. With respect to the requirement to have a work session, there is no legal requirement for the West New York Board of Education to have more than 1 meeting per month. It is standard or customary. There are some boards that do have a work session, then they have a regular meeting. Some boards will have a work session, in fact, on the same day as their board meeting. They may have the work session at 5 and then their regular meeting at 7 or 8 p.m. Others will have the work session a week before or what have you, but there's no legal requirement. And then there's other boards, that don't have a work session. That's purely a governance issue. as to how this Board of Education wants to operate.
Madam President, Madam Mason. So I realized that when we were having this discussion last meeting, I think there were only 5 trustees left at that meeting. I mean, in the past, there was one time we were here till 11 o'clock, and this board somehow voted down the travel expenses for the whole district. And I said, at that time, I said, look, we're going to be here until 4 o'clock in the morning if we have to get business done. Now, what happened last meeting was that we were in executive session for 3 hours trying to work things out. Okay, at about 10 p.m. we were like, okay, if we were to try to go through what we need to go through in executive session for all the personnel matters, we didn't even get to that. But, if this board thinks that we want to just work on one day, we're here till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, so be it. But the point of what we were talking about at the last meeting was that we would have this work session, get all the work done, we would all be brought up to speed, and then when we have the regular meeting, it would just be done in about an hour or so. So we get all the work done in one meeting, and the next meeting, everything would be done. That was the discussion that we had last meeting. So it was really in terms of efficiency rather than, last meeting we started at 5:30, we didn't get out till past 10, close to 11. So, and we kept losing board members throughout the entire night. I mean, if we were to try, I think that if we were to try to get all the work done in one meeting, and yeah, we try to stay here until 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, we would probably lose the quorum at some point, in which case everything in the meeting that we tried to accomplish would have been for naught. So, the purpose of having this work session is so that, we go through everything in one shot. All the board members who want to be brought up to speed, who have the availability time. I'm open to whatever time works for anyone else. When Trustee Palermo and I came on board, we said, hey, 5:30 is pretty early for people who are working. Perhaps we could have it later. So, Trustee Rodas, if there's a more convenient time for you or for any of the board members, I think I'm open to having that time change. So I don't think that's set in stone. But really, what we're trying to do is to be efficient here. I mean, last meeting, like I said, we didn't even get to what we needed to have to get to. I mean, we could have started at 10, but I think we would have started losing people. So that's why we discussed having these work sessions.
Excuse me, I have another opinion. I think is the way it is, it's okay, I think we feel comfortable. It's better to wait for the new board member comes and then you start refreshing with all the new ideas. That's all I think, because maybe the new board member comes, they don't agree with that, so I think it's better to wait. That's my opinion.
Can we take a vote on that? Do we want to keep the old way to do meetings, or can we do that?
The question, sir, was whether the board can take a vote to keep the current process of one meeting per month or to have more than one meeting per month. Can you? Yes. Do you need to? No. That's the answer. I mean, if you can do it by consensus, it seems as though half the board wants it, half the board doesn't. This isn't something that has to be decided tonight, so perhaps you can review it in your committees or at some other time rather than having an hour-long. And I don't mean that facetiously, but having a long conversation tonight and work the issue out. But if someone wants to make a motion to have a work session and a regular meeting, you're more than welcome to do that.
Could I make a comment? I think is this on? Yes. I think trusted development, a great point. There is going to be a brand new board. Well, not brand new, but there are going to be new members, I'm sure, on this board. Come time, I don't know if they're going to want to have 2 meetings every month, 3 meetings every month. So I think for right now, we should keep it how it is. And when the new board comes on, let them decide what they think is best. I think that makes sense to me.
May I speak? The new board is not going to be elected until November. They're not going to take office until January, is my understanding. So that's half a year away. A lot of work can get accomplished in a half
So
a
let's go.
year. And I thought we had agreed last, couple of weeks ago at the last meeting that having the work session was the most efficient way to conduct business. I mean, we had people speaking out against the transfers last week. They were very upset. A lot of people thought it was a done deal. Many of us did not know anything about them. And we didn't even have the opportunity to discuss everything that night during executive session because everything is so time consuming. This is the type of situation we're trying to avoid, where we are not informed enough, where we have not had an opportunity to discuss things in depth or to the extent required before we're asked to vote on something. That's why the work sessions, I think, are very important. Yes, of course, it's time consuming, but I don't think that the resolution meetings where only 4 board members are permitted to attend are the way to go. I don't think that's the solution. I don't even think that it should be that way. I think the work sessions are necessary and we should make every effort to agree to have them.
May I speak, Madam President? May I speak? I mean, and I just want to reiterate what we were told previously that, you know, even as far as, I mean, we had this discussion, I mean, we were told that the transfer list, 4 members who attended the resolution meeting had absolutely no problem with the transfers. I mean, but the minority, only the minority knew about it. I mean, so, you know, when it came time, I think we all decided that it'd be better for the whole board to be discussing this together versus having a very small group and then, you know, we get caught at the last meeting with all the complaints about it.
Madam Chair, may I?
The administrator want to do the transfer.
Microphone.
Says that they know. So, everybody agree with that?
Madam President, may I?
We didn't hear.
The reference to the weekly or monthly agenda setting meeting, albeit not a formally established board committee, this board operates on a committee-based system. And so typically, you're not a committee of the whole. And so, committee of the whole, okay. So by doing a committee of the whole, essentially your monthly meeting is essentially your committee meeting and your action meeting. So that's one thing. Again, if the board, by majority vote, wants to adopt or amend your policy, because you have annual meetings scheduled, your current policy sets forth 1 meeting per month. If you want to do it 2 meetings per month, what I would suggest in order to move this along is, as the board secretary said, you'll have a revised policy referencing the 2 meetings. When that policy is revised, you'll have the first reading, have your discussion about it at a regular meeting, as Mr. Singh referenced, and then you can have your second reading and call for a roll call. And if it gets voted up, you'll have 2 meetings. If it gets voted down, you'll stay the same. But that way you can just kind of move on, because it doesn't sound like you're going to change your minds this evening. Just there seems to be an effort or action taken already, action from an administrative standpoint, to amend the policy, review it at your regular meeting, review it at the next meeting, and then have a vote. Madam President, there's a time of the meeting on the agenda for public participation. I don't believe that's now. I would suggest you keep moving with your agenda.
One more thing? Okay, I also think that if you change it to 2 meetings, this could affect the election come November, because what if people who were planning to run in November, you know, now because we're changing it from 1 meeting a month, decide to now not run? So this could change a lot of different things for us now and for the future board members.
Okay, with that in mind, I guess we'll move on, and I'll remove it from the agenda. There won't be a first reading this evening for that, but there is the first reading for the pupil suicide prevention and high school graduation revised policies. So in the interim, if the board has any questions before our next meeting, they can contact the superintendent regarding those policies. If there's, and then we can put them on for second reading and adoption at our next meeting. That concludes my announcements. I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Good evening. All I really have to report at this time, we have 2 successful graduations here in West New York School District. The middle school graduation and high school graduation that took place this past Monday. I know we have 2 representatives of the West New York Police here, and I want to thank formally again the West New York Police Department for keeping it orderly, moving. The security was top notch, and it went off without a hitch. And we were very, very happy and successful in that. I do want to comment that evening in high school went to project graduation. For those who do not know what project graduation is, where the children from the high school go to an area predetermined. They do not know that this evening, I went to the university and we had a successful evening that night, and I received reports back that of all the project graduations that ever took place at Drew University at Morristown, that our high school seniors were the best behaved, lady and gentleman-like that they ever have confronted. This is a great credit to the West New York School District. Wherever our children go, this is not the first time I've heard this comment. They say, oh, they're coming from West New York, boom, 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 inner city. When they leave, the police, everyone pays compliment to our students. And it is a credit to this community and to the West New York School District and to our teachers for this report. Thank you. Mr. Giacombo was one of the individuals there. Am I right, Mr. Giacombo? Absolutely. Okay, that's all for my report. I just want to wish everyone in the audience a good summer. I'm around the whole summer, so if you need me, you can always call me. We'll just take a very minimum of time off, but we'll keep the lines of communication open for a good opening in September.
As there wasn't an agenda-setting meeting for the board for this meeting, the assistant superintendents and I will go through our sections of the agenda that are public at this point, and then the legal and personnel items will be discussed in executive session with the board. So as the business and finance on the agenda this evening is the 1.1 was the treasurer of school monies report. It was for the month of May. And then the approved minutes, I had the minutes on there, but I didn't get to finish them, so I'll ask the board if we can remove that from the agenda. And I promise in our next meeting I'll catch up on all that. It's been a busy period for us in the office. Then we have the paid bill list. That was bills that we paid as of about a week ago. Transfers or budgetary transfers that were necessary to books and balance. The items 1.5 and 1.6 were OFAC reviews of 2 of our providers. And they both, one of the providers we will not be offering a contract to this coming September. Their contract will end June 30th. That is Lollipops. Although they had comments in their OFAC examination, their corrective action plan will not be necessary since they will not be recontracted for the September school year. Magical Rainbow will prepare a corrective action plan based on the audit that you have in board docs. And that will be presented at a future meeting to be adopted by the board and sent to the state of New Jersey. Item 1.7 is the summer cleaning bid, results of that. That's the bid that the company that's hired to come into the schools and clean the schools during the summer. 1.8 is the Memorial High School electrical upgrades. There's a recommendation to award that contract. If you recall in the budget, we budgeted $1 million for that work. and also 1.9, which is the fire alarm upgrades. We're requesting that the board reject the fire alarm upgrades because since we only budgeted $1 million, the sum of those two jobs was in excess of $1 million, and we felt at this point that the electrical upgrades are necessary in order to have the building open for September. When the building was built, it didn't have all the computers, technology that we have now, and that's why we need to have the electrical upgrades in the building. We'll revisit and relook at the fire alarm upgrades to see what we can do, and we feel that if we rebid that, one of the reasons why we think that we got high prices on that was that since it had to be done during the summer period, all the contractors already have work lined up, and so they're really busy and they couldn't fit it in, and that's why it drove the price up. And we feel that if we rebid it and had it done after school hours during the school year, that it'd decrease the price. On item 1.10, the door replacement, and item 1.11, they were the bids that we had from that this past year. There are jobs that have completed. If my memory is right, the door one had an increase, and there was a change that I had to make because the architect had made an error. I included in board docs a copy of his email for the board to see. I did that. I received an email from him last night at 7 p.m. saying that I think there was a $700 error, if my memory's right. That there's a change order increase of that bid. But then in the item 1.11, the window replacement, we had a contingency built into the bid, and the contingency was not needed at all. So the funds that were freed up from the window replacement can help float the increase that was in the door replacement. And we'll still come out ahead on that deal. The broadband purchasing co-op, item 1.12, the state of New Jersey is trying to form a coalition of, they want to bid out broadband service for all the school districts in New Jersey, and they wanted school districts to just say that they're interested in it at this point so they can kind of get an idea of how many districts are interested. So we sent a letter to them telling them that we're interested in pursuing that. Once they move further along in that process, then we can decide whether or not it's in our best interest to be part of the co-op or not. So at this point, we already have broadband provided through Lightpath, which is the local cable company here. But this is for the future, to probably do it for about a year from now. We just wanted to kind of tell the state that we're interested in pursuing that. One of the reasons that we had requested a meeting on Monday was the bids for the food management company, which is item 1.13 on the agenda this evening. And I wasn't quite sure how many people were going to bid on the food service management contract. And the bids were open today at 2 p.m. and I only received one bidder, New Way. We did have a walkthrough last week, and there was one other bidder that was interested, but he had sent me an email earlier today that due to other commitments that they have, that they felt that they didn't want to bid. Their company decided not to bid. So I was able to complete all the paperwork necessary to put it on the agenda tonight. So if the board wants, we could vote on all this tonight, and there would be no need for a meeting on Monday. We can make that decision later. It's up to the board. Since I wasn't sure how many bidders, I could have had 5 or 6 proposals dropped off at 2 o'clock this afternoon, but I would have had to analyze. But since there was just the one, I was able to complete it in time for tonight's meeting. Item 1.14 is the fall athletic bid. This is for supplies for the football and soccer teams and stuff. And that we have that bid recommendation. I know I went rather quick over my items, but if there's any questions by any board members, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes, I have a question on 1.5, the Lollipops daycare. The report said that there was approximately $37,000 which they had been granted but had not spent or had not accounted for, and it's to be returned to the district. Is there a plan in place for collecting that money from them?
We withheld their June payment. We do that with all of our providers until their books are closed and we reconcile everything. So that way, if there are funds due to us, we can just return to them the differential. So that's our plan. And if not, I guess we'll pursue legal action if it's excess of that amount.
What withheld monies cover that amount, 37,000?
Well, we need to close their books completely since they'll be no longer a provider. So it'd be that 37,000 plus whatever other items they owe us.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question. 1.7 about cleaning.
Yes.
When you say cleaning, that you're hiring the company, I know last year you hired to clean the floor and the was, what are they gonna do this year? The same thing or something else?
Mr. Solaris is here, he could probably answer that better. This company comes in and scrubs the floors.
Okay, the only thing is, like I see, the past 2 months, I think, as a closed session, we was talking about all the overtime from the custodian. I just want to make sure we don't pay overtime and we pay for this. That's my concern, to save money. You understand my point?
Yes, yes, they do. Okay, are there any other questions?
2 point,
Okay, well, Ms. Olivero is going to come up and go over hers as soon as, I just wanted to see if there are any other questions on the business and finance section. Seeing none, I'll ask Ms. Olivero to come up and quickly review her resolutions.
Good evening. Do you hear me? Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, board members. Okay, the twos revolve around curriculum and instruction. 2.1 are our field trips for the summer programs. We have 2 summer enrichment programs and the BEAM program that we have going on in the month of July. They will be going on trips, so we're seeking permission to allow them to go on field trips during the summer program. 2.2, we're asking permission to have a speaker, the Marine Corps Leadership Seminar, come in and speak to our football team. One of those 3 dates, we're not sure which date it will be, but they do a seminar for our football teams, for our sporting teams on leadership. 2.3, we've separated out our speakers and our professional development for the district to make it easier to read. And 2.3, we're having a guidance workshop for our guidance counselors on the 26th, 27th, and 30th from the Naviance company that we will be using at Memorial High School to help our students as they prepare for college and career readiness. It will provide access to the families and the parents at home. It will track our freshmen through senior year and their desires for college acceptance. And we're seeking permission. We had Dr. Petrov come in and speak to our district leaders, our principals, and our assistant principals on their practices, their guidance towards teachers and their students. And it was an opportunity for our administrators to have a reflection. They are very busy during the year. They really don't have time to go out for professional development, so we brought that in. 2.4 is curriculum revision. The West New York School District has a 5-year curriculum revision plan, but we revise curriculum all the time to keep up with new courses that we're offering. This month, we have a curriculum revision for the course we call C+++, and it is a course on computer repairs where we're actually teaching our students how to repair and maintain computers for possible job opportunities. So we're asking you to approve that curriculum this evening. 2.5 is a federal grant accepting the awards for the Perkins Grant. That's a federal grant for the sum of $94,242. Those are dollars that go to Memorial High School that we use for our business courses and our business department. It's a federal grant that we get every year. This year, there was an increase of about $30,000 to that grant. 2.6 is acceptance of our NCLB grant. which is our Title I grant, our Title II grants, our Title III immigrant grant, for a total allocation of $3,843,000. We run many programs. Mrs. Herrera oversees that. We provide a lot of activities for our students. We provide new opportunities. 2 of our schools use that funding, the middle school and the high school, for RAC, Regional Achievement Center mandates that we have to have in place. The Title I, we have parent participation, which is a huge amount of that grant that the state tells us the state and the federal government tells us exactly how much money is allocated. In that allocation is the non-public school. We have 1 non-public school within our school district, and that's St. Joseph's Elementary School. They get a piece of that too. The state tells us how much money they are entitled to as well based on their enrollment. The next grouping are a group of smaller grants that we seek for our schools. 2.7 is asking permission to submit the early childhood and the PS number 5, Fresh Fruits and Vegetables grant. Actually, I'm sorry, it's an award acceptance. The early childhood received about $7,500, and the public school number 5 received about $39,000. Those grants are determined by the state of New Jersey with federal guidance, and they were the 2 schools that were eligible this year based on their free and reduced lunch. The America Group 2.8 is a small grant. We were asking permission to submit, and the turnaround was so quick that they actually accepted our application. And 2.9 is the granting of the $500 to the Annex 4 for their garden, their reading garden. $210 is another grant for the amount of $4,000 that we're asking permission to submit for public school number 1, which they plan to use for academic activities and a variety of tutoring opportunities for their students at public school number 1. 2.11 is the NFL Play 60 application submission. And as you can see, that entails all of our schools for a total of $36,000, and that is for equipment and cafeteria equipment. So we seek grant opportunities so that we do not impose upon the district funding for those items. 212 is the ING Run grant. Public school number 2 and public school number 3 are asking for permission to submit the ING Run for Something Better grant, and it's for $3,500 to be split among the 2 schools. I would like to comment, if I may. Today we had a work session with Mr. Faraccio, the supervisor of health at phys ed, and Mr. Valenza, our district food manager, and 2 assistant principals. We do a great many things for wellness for our students. I'm very proud, and I know I've spoken many times to you about the accomplishments of the West New York School District, the teachers, the students in their academic achievement. I know we've spoken about their athletic abilities. I'm not an athletic person, as you can tell, but I'm very proud of their athletics. But also, we have to recognize the fact that we do a lot for their physical wellness, and this is truly an indication. In today's meeting, we were chosen, we're one of the school districts asked to be a part of this endeavor, that we teach our students about physical fitness and obesity and good food choices, and we track our students from the elementary school to the middle school and throughout the high school. So I just wanted to comment about what we do with these grants. 2.13 is another grant submission that we're asking your permission for, is for the Dollar General Literacy Foundation for Public School Number 1. And we're asking to use these monies again for academic tutoring and items like that. 2.14 is the Jersey Fresh Farm to School Recognition Program. We were privileged to be a part of it last year. We're hoping to be selected again this year for a $20,000 grant opportunity that we would like to run in our high school. And hopefully we'll get that money and continue the good work that we do. 2.15 is our renewal contract with Kean University for our dual college credit courses. We have contract renewal every year with the various colleges and universities. We are in the process of getting the updated contracts for all of our other college partnerships. They will be coming next month and the month after. This is the only one we received back, and we had opportunity to review carefully. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Not too hard, Mr. Val. Make it easy.
I just want to be fair. I know number school 4 is new,
Yes.
right? And I would like to know, what about number 5? You don't mention at all number 5.
I think they're eligible for a
And it's
grant.
not fair, because if you have work for one school, you should have for another one. I know, I can tell the school number 5 needs something.
Yes.
Why is not in the list?
Okay, first of all, okay, I just want to say that.
I hope it's not.
No, number 5 is on the list for fresh fruits and vegetables. They're getting $39,000 in 2.7, but also what happens is the applications for these smaller grants that you're speaking of come from the building administration. We have Bruno Associates that provides us with all the information. As soon as the superintendent gets it, Mr. Franchetta gets it, Mr. Sanchez or I get it, we distribute it to our leaders in the schools, because they determine really what the smaller grants are all about, what they want to pursue. That is their pursuit in their school. For example, number 1 school felt that they had the need for the tutorial, so they submitted themselves a grant. So other administrators throughout the district know that the grants are available. Everyone has equal opportunity to submit the grant. I will get after number 5 school. You're welcome. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Mr. Sanchez?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off with 3.1. It's the various requests for use of our facilities. Mostly, if you look at the list, it's the West New York Recreation Department, and Police Department, and our own school use for the various summer enrichment programs. 3.2 is the request for transportation. These, once again, are, well, there's just really just 2 of this right now, mainly the Recreation Department and our own internal TIGS Club. 3.3 is the request for a police officer to work our evening summer registration for the various dates listed there. 3.4 is a donation by the Duran family for the amount of $6,000 to be used for the peer leadership mediation program at Memorial High School. 3.5 is use of the district server. The Recreation Department is installing a tracking system so they can track their student participants in their programs, so they can keep better attendance of their students that are actually participating and know where they're at all times. You know, we had our IS supervisor look into the system, and the system is not going to jeopardize our system in any way. It's something that we feel will benefit the West New York Recreation Department, so of course we're more than happy to oblige. 3.6 is also a request by the West New York Recreation Department. They want to do a summer computer instruction program, and of course they would need to utilize one of our labs. We determined once again that this would not that be a detriment to us in any way. We welcome their use of our system to be able to instruct the student participants of the Recreation Department in computer instruction. Of course, there are some clauses there that anyone that uses our computers would have to be subject to our acceptable use policies, and that the superintendent would have to approve the instructor that the West New York Recreation Department would hire. That's it for mine.
Thank you.
Ms. Lazaro?
Good evening, everyone. Special Services. The 4.1 is the transportation and placement of our special ed students that go out of district in the 2013-14 school year. We have to close that out in order to finish all our reports that are due on Monday. 4.2 is the transportation and placement of our out-of-district students for next year, but this is a small list. We got no contracts this morning as the day went on. The data group is going to do a crisis training for specific autism staff in a class at the middle school. This is to teach the teacher, the paras, and the administrator what to do when a child becomes very violent, and the restraint training. This is the group that we use. We went out and submitted for other prices, and this was the only one that sent in the return. The data group also is sent in a contract, is the next resolution, for ABA training for our staff, our students, and home-based services. They do our evaluations that are court-ordered or came across during mediation, that we may need to do home-based services. That is their contract for the 2014-15 school year. And last but not least, 4.5 is a nursing contract with Viata for a small child that is going to out-of-district placement who is in need of a nurse. This is just for the summer program, and we will be seeking other bids in August for the September to June nursing service. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
As I mentioned, the other items, the legal and personnel items will be covered in executive session with the board. We'll move on with the meeting now. At this point, we'll open the floor for public comment. I'd ask that you please use the microphone to my left here, I guess to your right. In accordance with the West New York Board of Education Bylaw 0167, public participation in board meetings adopted April 22nd, 2009. Each participant shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Please state your name and address for the record when you approach the microphone.
Eduardo Milanes. I live at 515 54th Street in West New York, and I'm here because I would like to know why I'm not being rehired. I have never had any non-complaints. I have never been warned of anything. I have even received an evaluation. So I really need a reason. I need my job. Thank you.
Good evening, Francisco Ferraro, 5206 Bergenline Avenue, West New York, New Jersey. I'd like to comment about the discussion earlier, 1 meeting or 2 meetings a month. In my eyes, the board members make some pretty huge decisions regarding a $66 million school system budget, hundreds of employees, thousands of students. And you're asked to make some really important decisions, And it's been proven that one meeting a month hasn't been suffice to give you information and the knowledge to be able to properly make these decisions. That was the discussion of the last meeting, and that's why 2 meetings were proposed. So the board could be a little bit more knowledgeable of what they're being asked to vote on. The issue came last meeting with some crazy transfers, and the board was being asked to make decisions and vote on something they had no knowledge of. This was the purpose of designing this 2-meeting system, which, you know, it's the right way to go. I mean, you know, honestly, you guys make such important decisions that you should be meeting once a week. But I know it's hard for a lot of people to do this. It's a non-paid position. It's a volunteer position. People have lives to live. But with that also said, you know, if it's too much that you can make that commitment to the school system, to the children of West New York, to the teachers, to the educators of this system, then, you know, it's fine then, resign. Let somebody that can make that time, that effort, and has the ability to make at least 2 meetings a month. Give those positions up to somebody that cares, that wants to do it. We understand it's a busy world. We're all struggling to survive. You know, I mean, if you can't make 2 meetings a month, you're doing an injustice to the school system, to the kids, to the teachers, to the educators, when you don't have the proper knowledge on what you're voting on. And it requires giving the proper time. You know, so that's the one comment I wanted to make on that issue. I have one other brief comment, and it's just a personal opinion. Last board meeting, there was an issue where the members of the board are being asked to vote on, and I don't have a lot of knowledge on this area or anything like that. It's just one particular reason why I'm mentioning it. The board is being asked to vote on who the insurance carrier for our employees would be. And I just acquired knowledge here and there what's, you know, who the 2 participants, who the 2 companies are. And both companies I hear are very good companies. They're both very well known. They both have a lot of municipalities. There's just one difference with one of the companies, and no disrespect to Brown & Brown, I hear they're a tremendously huge, publicly traded company, and they're a great insurance provider. The other company was Alamo Insurance Company. Now, the only reason why I'm even bringing this up is because Alamo Insurance Company is a homegrown company. The owner of Alamo Insurance Company went to West New York Grammar Schools. The owner of Alamo Insurance Company graduated from Memorial High School. This is a homegrown product, and I'm all for that. And I think, and then, like I said, no disrespect to the other company. If they're both even in services and in money, if Alamo's not charging us more money, if they're both even in services and cost, I would have to tend to go with the homegrown product, because I want to see the progression of our homegrown people and West New Yorkers progressing. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiona.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Olasco. My address is 401 53rd Street, West New York, New Jersey. I'd just like to make a comment on the graduation on Monday, that the students of the Acting and the Dancing Academy were wearing cords that were the same color as the National Honor Society. And I don't think that was very fair, because those colors represent what we have done. It represents our hard work through our 4 years of high school. And I believe that they should have their own colors, because those colors belong to us, the National Honor Society. Thank you.
Ismael Gonzalez, 6500 Palisade Avenue. I am president of the National Honor Society, and actually I have the medal that we wore as recognition of the National Honor Society. As you see, it's gold and blue, the same colors that the Acting Academy wore during that night. I'm also very displeased about that. I mean, it was a very nice graduation ceremony. Thank you for that, by the way. I know the MOMS members have a purple cord, which, you know, represents their recognition. I'm pretty sure that some MOMS members will be very displeased if another academy or anything like that, had their colors. So that's why I want to say for the future members, because I know the future members, the next might be president or something. I would want them to to have their own colors, to represent their hard work. The same cords actually that they wore, we wore for the induction, the same colors. I mean. So I'm just here giving a public comment on that, and thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Ms. Giacomo, if you please note that and take that back to the high school principal. Try to clear this up for next year, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Anita Cover, President of the West New York Education Association, 470C Liberty Street, Little Ferry, New Jersey. Thank you very much, because since the last meeting, there's been a lot of open communication between myself and members of the cabinet with certain information that I am due to me being president of the association. I also want to point out that last month, during the meeting on the personnel issues, only 4 of the 5 disciplinarians were appointed. One of the disciplinarians this year retired, and it's very critical in the high school to have as much security and as much information between students and teachers that a 5th disciplinarian would really be advantageous to the high school. There were 2 disciplinarians in the middle school, and now the high school is down to 2 disciplinarians. And I'm not exactly sure of the numbers in the high school, the enrollment. 1,800 for 2 disciplinarians to handle. Seems to be quite a large number. So you might want to reconsider that and possibly revisit it. Thank you.
First, I publicly apologize to those students. I'm sure that was an oversight when it was ordered. I will look into it, and we'll take care of that in the future.
What's good to see, Ms. Giacomo, is that our student body is getting involved with this Board of Education.
Absolutely.
I welcome that.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. They've acted very professional, Ms. Miller's been up here before, and I think I welcome having a public comment from our student body.
I think we raise our children well. Actually, at the workshop yesterday, we were complimented by Dr. Petroff on it's the only district that he works in where students hold the door open for adults, and a lot of kudos to our kids. And I want to also reiterate what Anita had to say about the replacement of the disciplinarian. One of them retired, in case you don't know the history of that, this year, and I think it's crucial. They serve as support, security, that I understand there's budget cuts that need to be made. I don't think that that job should be one that is cut. We're down to 2 assigned to the middle school and 2 at the high school, so we'd like to reconsider that. And also, we're ending the year, the administrators, our contract ends on June 30th. We've only met once from July 1st to present. And unfortunately, I had to inform my members yesterday that we're ending the year without a contract. Not new for us, we've gone before. But I'm just a little disturbed that we cannot sit down and talk and no time has been set aside for us. And it's kind of a slap in the face. It's okay if we don't settle and we argue. I've been there a few years now in that role. But I am very disturbed that we're not appreciated enough to even have sat down. We sat down on one occasion. We've met privately. We've given some proposals, which we know what happens. But we've never met again. So unfortunately, On Monday, the contract ends, but we're more disappointed that we haven't sat down with anyone. And I don't know how the system works behind the scenes, but we would like to be heard a little bit. And just so you know, I believe the teacher's contract is up next June, supervisors in June. So come September, when everyone's back, they're going to be looking to negotiate. So we are available in the summertime. We only off a few weeks. We're actually really shortchanged this year because we don't have a contract and our snow days, but I don't mind. But I don't know if there's a board of representative that oversees it. I don't know the workings of it. Thank you very much.
Charles Pettencourt, 6305 Jackson. I just want to make a comment in reference to the insurance companies. I know that some of you are aware, others aren't, but the Alamo Insurance Group is connected with Pablo Fonseca, which is connected with the mayor of this town, which happens to be a problem and a conflict. I'd advise you to vote otherwise. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard? Seeing no one at this time, the public portion of the meeting is now concluded. The board will now recess into executive session to discuss items which fall within an exception of our open public policy and permits the board to have private discussion, since it's dealing with specific exceptions contained in New Jersey statute annotated 10:4-12B. This evening, the board will be discussing matters of personnel affecting current or prospective employees, matters of litigation, contract negotiations regarding professional service contracts, and worker compensation settlements. Be it resolved that the Board of Education will recess into executive session to discuss the aforementioned matters. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practical. Minutes of the executive session will be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board may take action on these items following executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Motion.
May I have a second? Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
Yes, but I have a comment. After the public comment, you don't ask to the board if we have any comments. I do have a comment.
The board, we will
I want to, in any way, can I do it now?
we're in the middle of voting. Can we complete this at least?
Thank you.
Okay, so your vote was yes. Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Okay. It's not a comment, it's a question. Mr. Fausta, I would like to know, when you don't give a tenure to the teachers or teacher aide, why are you hiring a new teacher from another area? Why we don't keep the one in West New York? Is there any particular reason? I don't know the gentleman over there. I don't know if he's a teacher or a teacher aide.
I can't comment personnel. You want to discuss that in executive
I'm
session?
talking about in general. I'm not talking about specific to him. That just came to my
Well,
mouth.
Mr. Fowler,
Yes.
I would advise you not to respond
Right.
to that question specifically and/or in general as it may pertain to an individual circumstance, matter covered by
The
personnel.
only thing I just want to share with that because I want to stay on record. I never agree when you fire any teachers or a teacher aide or something like that and hire new ones. It's better to resolve the problem the one we have in the house because most of them they're living out of town. It's better we keep the people in our town. That's my opinion, and I don't have no issue.
At this time, we'll recess to executive session. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn executive session and reconvene in public session?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, there's been some changes to the agenda. I'll try to make this as simple as possible. First, items 510, 511, 512, and 513, which are the contracts for the assistant superintendents and the business administrator. The clauses in the contract that include the merit clauses or the merit raises will be removed from the contract, and the raise will be at 1%. Item 5.15, salary increases for central office personnel that are non-union. The variable rate method will be used to calculate the raises for the staff. And item 1.2, which is my fault, since the minutes weren't done for the last meeting, that's being withdrawn from the agenda. Will not be voted on at this time. I apologize for the inconvenience. The following items will be withdrawn from the consent agenda, but the entire consent agenda will be done in blocks by its section. For example, the business and finance section will be done as one, and so on. But these items will be removed from those specific sections. Item at the request of Mr. Parkinson, item 3.1, use of facilities. Item 5.10, the employment contract of Ms. Britta Herrera. 511, the contract of Ms. Olivero. 6.51, personnel appointments. 6.47, transfer of vice principals. 6.48, transfer of vice principals. And 6.49, transfer of vice principals. So with that being said, we'll be voting first on the individual. Well, I guess first I'll ask if there's any questions from any board members on any items before we start voting on the items on the agenda. Any questions? No questions. We're ready to vote then. Okay, so we're going to vote first on all the items in the business and finance section. They're all the 1.x items with in mind that item 1.2 is being withdrawn from the agenda. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
I vote yes, but I abstain from 1.3.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, all the items in the 1.x pass. Next is the items in the 2 X's, which would be curriculum. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and in this section, I don't believe there were any items being withdrawn or removed or anything, so it's the entire grouping of the 2s. Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang? Trustee Chang on the 2s?
Wait, hold on.
We're on
one
all the
second.
2s, on
We're
all the
on
curriculum,
twos.
all the curriculum items.
Sorry, yes.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, all the items in that section pass. The items in the 3s, which are operations, except for 3.1, which is being withdrawn and will be voted on separately. So items 3.2 through 3.6 in the operations section. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
All the items in items 3.2 through 3.6 pass. Now we'll vote on the items in special services, the 4s, 4Xs, and it's 4.1 through 4.5 inclusive. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
All the items in special services pass. Now we'll vote on the items in the fives, which are the legal section, with the exclusion of 5.1, which is the employment contract of Ms. Herrera.
That's
And
5.10.
5.10, I'm sorry. And 5.11, which is the employment contract of Ms. Olivero. So all the items in the fives except for those two. May I have a motion?
Can you just repeat for the record 5.1 that we decided on?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry about that. 5.1, there will be no board meeting on June 30th. That meeting will be canceled. And there will be a tentative meeting scheduled for July 30th.
I have a
Thank
question.
you, Mr. King.
Kevin?
Yes.
What about 5.12 and 5.13?
I mentioned before that there's changes to the items on the agenda.
Right.
That all of them, 5.10 through 5.13, the merit clauses will be removed from the contract, and the raise will be at 1%.
Right. I thought you just mentioned only 5.10 and 5.11.
They were the only ones that I was asked to be pulled from the consent agenda.
The other two have changes.
The board is being asked to vote on the revised.
The revisions for all four of them.
Yes.
But two of them are being removed from the consent
Agenda.
Okay.
To be voted on separately. And then 5.1, as you mentioned, with the date changes.
So we're voting right now on 5.1 to 5.9, and then 5.12 to 5.15.
That's correct. Okay, may I have a motion for the legal section?
Motion.
May I have a second? Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
I vote yes, but I vote no on 5.12 and 5.13. And I just want to give my reason again, as I gave last meeting. I think you guys are valuable employees, but I don't agree with the raise. I said that I think you guys are very valuable employees, but again, I just want to say that I'm just voting no for the raise. I'm not voting no for. I'm voting to renew your contracts, but I'm not voting yes for the raises because we raise taxes. It's very hard on a lot of people, and I think you guys do deserve a raise, but not at this time. So, thank you.
Trustee Duval? Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, all those items pass that were mentioned. Okay, on the sixes, personnel, all of the sixes except for 6.47, 6.48, 6.49, and 6.51, which will be voted on separately in a few minutes. So with those items in mind, may I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, all those items pass. Now we'll go back and we'll vote on the items that were pulled from the agenda. We'll start with 3.1, which is use of facilities. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
And Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
Okay, next is 5.10, which is the employment contract of Ms. Britta Herrera. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
This is with those caveats in mind, the removal of the merit clause and the raise at 1%. Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
No.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo.
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson.
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli.
Yes.
President Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Rodas.
Yes.
There's 5 votes for yes, so that the motion passes. Item 5.11 or 5.11, the employment contract of Ms. Olivero, again with the 2 changes I mentioned, as the same as Ms. Herrera. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta.
Yes.
Trustee Chang.
No.
Trustee Duval.
No.
Trustee Palermo.
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson.
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli.
Yes.
Trustee Rodas.
Yes.
President Reyes.
Yes.
The motion passes. There are 5 yes votes. Item 6.47, which is transfer of vice principals. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Acosta.
Yes.
Trustee Chang.
No.
Trustee Duval. Trustee Palermo.
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson.
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli.
No.
President Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Rodas.
Yes.
4 yeses, 3 noes, 1 abstention. Transfers.
Doesn't pass. Personnel matter requires 5 votes. The appointment, the removal, the transfer of staff requires 5 affirmative votes. Now, there could be a motion for reconsideration, or can reconsider it if it so desires. And reconsideration will be the majority of the entire motion.
In light of this, is there any sense on voting on 6.48 and 6.49 because it's kind of a package deal?
If I may, there was, just so we're clear, there was a board member who may have a conflict on, I think, 3 matters. Does this group contain those, or is this the other group?
Mr. Parkinson abstained as his mother's employee of the district.
Okay, but the other ones, he doesn't have a conflict. Just want to make
Well,
sure his abstention was for everything, or just for that one item?
He abstained on all the transfers of all,
Just want to make sure he's clear and the board is clear, that's all.
on all the vice
Okay.
principals.
I'm sorry, is there a new agenda? Because I can't find these items on the agendas that we have.
We do. Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're not listed because of personnel. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, they were voting, there is an agenda.
You want to explain why we have?
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to have a meeting, if this was going to be continued to Monday or not, so that's why there were 2 agendas. I apologize.
here.
I wasn't sure what we were going to do. So
We still, I believe we still, I mean, if it's on the agenda, I think we still have to vote on it, but yeah,
it's kind of a moot
strange
point.
because
Mr. Taylor, should
Yes,
we
sir.
still vote on 648 on the other 2 transfers of the vice principals, or?
I mean, they're agenda items, the administration has the prerogative to proceed with the recommendation or to pull it, given the...
Would you like to withdraw? They all died.
So in that case, is the administration withdrawing that recommendation?
Are you withdrawing the recommendation?
Is the board willing to reconsider it?
I'll have a motion for reconsideration again.
So there's a motion to reconsider, what's the agenda item number?
6.47.
Okay, motion to reconsider agenda item 6.47. Is there a second?
I'd just like to say it, I mean,
Procedurally, is there a second before we have discussion?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion properly moved, there's a second to reconsider agenda item 6.47, correct? All right, discussion?
I'd just like to say for the record that, you know, we had, these items were on the agenda last month. We had approximately 25 teachers, parents, who came out to speak on behalf of these assistant principals. I mean, they're not here right now. You know, we postponed voting on this matter until this meeting, although actually, you know, this meeting was supposed to be a work session, but we've now decided to vote on things. So, you know, I don't even think we've given the public the opportunity, as they did in the last meeting, to voice their concerns, and that's why I'm voting no here.
Can I just check on that though, just confirm to the board secretary, this meeting was duly advertised at least 48 hours in advance?
Yes.
And did it note that action may be taken? Okay, in that case, it is a duly called meeting. What I would just remind the board is pursuant to the Code of Ethics, the administration superintendent in particular is in charge of the day-to-day operation of the district. The board sets policy. Presumptively, the recommendation to transfer staff is made to ensure the orderly operation of the school district. While we understand that staff may or may not like being transferred, that's an administrative decision to make to, again, ensure proper coverage, et cetera. You can still vote your conscience, but I just think it's important for the board to recognize that in light of and/or notwithstanding perhaps objections made from the public about certain members, which may not be the entire list of people that was just voted in.
But the public did not know this was voting on tonight.
Mr. Chang, I'm sorry, you can continue, Mr. Chang.
I think that's.
By holding this back, it's going to really throw a monkey wrench into the district as far as the timing of this. You know, July 1st is when the administration takes over. Now to wait and postpone this for another month or so, what kind of example is this going to show the entire district? Frank, you're out of line.
Frank, it's not public section.
Officer, quiet him down there, please.
You're out of line.
So just by throwing a monkey wrench into this, you know, it's going to really hamper me running this district. Like I said at the meeting last time, I can't look at the individual concerns of one individual in one school. I have to look at 8,500 children and 10 schools. You know, I'm not punishing anyone. I'm trying to make what is the best fit for this entire district. So I just want to be noted for that.
Any other comments from board members?
Were we in the middle of a vote?
We're in a discussion session of a
Okay.
vote, so we're okay now. So are there any other comments from board members?
Mr. Can I'm not sure if we can discuss this. What I was, are we allowed to discuss this, Mr. Taylor? I mean, are we?
You're debating the motion right now.
So, stop me if I'm not allowed to talk about this, Mr. Taylor. So, one of the suggestions I had was there are 2 voluntary transfers and there's 1 voluntary transfer. So the suggestion I had before was that the 2 voluntary be willing to transfer amongst themselves.
I guess the term voluntary and involuntary is somewhat irrelevant and a misnomer. I mean, management has a prerogative to place employees. These are employees. They work for you. They work for the school district. Management has the prerogative to place employees anywhere it chooses, it being management, that is within their certification, if they're certified staff members, or within their job title as a janitor. So let's say I'm a janitor, there's no entitlement that I be assigned to building A versus building B. If I'm a teacher, there's no entitlement that I be in classroom A.
I understand, Mr. Taylor, but I mean, we had a lot of, as I said before, in the last meeting, we had a lot of parents voice their concerns. I understand what the superintendent's saying. I respect his opinion. But that's why I made that.
And also, Mr. Chang, if I may, if the affected employee has a concern or issue with the recommended transfer, if it's approved, they may have certain rights and remedies through the grievance procedure in the contract to challenge it. I don't have the contract in front of me, but all I'm trying to say is that the administration is making a recommendation to assign staff to be able to service the children in the district. Whether someone doesn't want to go or something, it really isn't the issue for the board to consider at this juncture. not trying to be impersonal, but from a business standpoint,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
understand.
analysis.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm still asking the question. Proposal.
You would leave someone without a choice. Let's put it this way. One administrator, if you add up two and not on one, you would be out of here.
But aren't they all VPs? I mean,
How about we do this?
yeah, I mean,
Can we do this, because this is a personnel matter, and we've narrowed the pool down to very identifiable candidates. There's a motion on the table. If there's further questions about this personnel matter the board has, perhaps we can reconvene in closed session. If the mover and the person who seconded withdraws their motion, we can further flesh this out in closed session. I don't think it's appropriate to continue the dialogue in public.
I may make a general statement. I think the bottom line is with these three, it's either all or none. That's the only way it's going to work. You can transfer two, because the third person would not have a place to go to, or certainly not the way it's indicated here. The only way it could work is all or none.
There's still a motion on the table. This motion is to be voted on.
Board members, any further comment? Hearing none,
I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to executive session to flesh it out.
I would suggest you request the person who moved it to withdraw that motion and the person who seconded that to withdraw it. The person who moved it is not willing to withdraw the motion. If there's no further comment, I would suggest a roll call vote. This is, again, can you just restate it so everyone's clear what they're voting on? This is the motion to reconsider agenda item
6.47.
6.47, AKA the transfers. Roll call.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
The motion was made by Mr. Acosta and seconded by Ms. Palermo. Mr. Acosta, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Abstain.
Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
We have 5 yeses, 1 no, and 2 abstentions, so the motion passes.
I would suggest another motion to approve that item.
A motion to approve 6.47. May I have a motion? I didn't hear the motion, sorry. Second, but I didn't hear something.
Oh.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Abstain.
Trustee Duval? Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
5 yeses, 1 no, 2 abstention. The motion passes. So now we're off to 6.48, which is a transfer of a vice principal. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Abstain.
Trustee Duval? Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes.
Yes.
The motion passes 5 yeses, 1 no, 2 abstentions. Item 6.49, which is also a transfer of vice principal. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second? Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Abstain.
Trustee Duval? Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
The motion passes 5 yeses, 1 no, 2 abstentions. I skipped that. Yes, I did. Item 6.51 is personnel appointments. May I have a motion? I hear a second. A motion? Okay. May I have a second? Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
No.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
5 yeses, 2 no, 1 abstention. The motion passes. I believe that is everything.
Don't forget my motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Duval to
So the record is clear, can you please state what the motion is?
My motion is regarding June 11th. We had the brokers. I would like to make a motion to change it.
Mr. Ball, would it be fair to say your motion is to rescind the resolution that was passed on June 11th?
11th, yes.
Can you just please state, or Board Secretary, just specify what that motion was, the agenda
The
item number?
motion
and what it
was, the item, I don't remember. I mean, I would like to remove the motion for the brokers.
the insurance
For
broker.
the insurance broker.
Do you recall what that agenda item was at that meeting?
Recall what numbers. There were 2 separate ones.
Just so the record is crystal clear, it would be helpful.
Board Attorney, I would appreciate if you did not make the motions for board members.
I did not make the motion, I was just trying to clarify what the board member was saying. I
Thank you.
appreciate your comments, sir.
Thank you.
Second the motion?
Can you please repeat the motion?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the exact numbers.
Just so the board, the motion was to rescind the award of a contract for insurance brokers on June 11th, I believe it is. So my request was for clarity and clarification to make sure that the agenda item that's being moved to be rescinded is specifically identified in the record. That was all my comment was, Mr. Chairman.
5.3. I thought there were 2. Were there 2, or was it done as 1? I thought there was insurance,
Oh, yeah.
insurances, and then like health benefits. I thought there were 2 separate ones.
5.2 and 5.3.
That's from the June 11th meeting?
June 11th, yes.
So, just again, and
I asked a motion for the 5.3, 5.2.
5.2 and 5.3 are
For the
the motions. We put
broker.
on,
Broker.
so again, I'm just going to clarify for the record. The motion, Mr. Ball, correct me if I'm wrong, is the motion is to rescind agenda items 5.2 and 5.3 from the June 11, 2014 meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
I object to the consideration of the question.
I I ask who second me.
Second.
Board Attorney, I believe I objected.
We're in discussion now, so what's your objection?
I object that it wouldn't be proper for this board to take action on Ms. Duval's motion because this board took the people who were at that meeting saw the presentations of the brokers of record. And for this board now, for these trustees who weren't at the presentation to take action on this, who did not see, debate these presentations, I think would be completely improper.
May I have, can I say something, Mrs. President?
Yes.
Okay, the person that we have before, is the one I would like to keep it. We have here for a couple of years, was doing a good job. Okay, and everybody have the brochure, everybody read it.
I agree with Mr. Chang's objection.
May I have somebody second me? I want to keep the motion on the floor.
I have
The motion was moved, it was seconded, we're in discussion. Is there any more discussion from board members?
I believe I objected before the second.
I don't understand objective, what do you mean, sir?
I objected to the consideration of the question.
Okay, but a board member can make a motion from the floor. It was made, it was properly and duly seconded. We're in the discussion of the motion. The next procedural route, we need to have a vote.
I have a comment.
The law does, in Robert's Rules of Order, as long as the item that was previously passed is not irreversible in nature. My understanding is that the contract that was previously awarded by agenda item 5.2 and 5.3 has not been signed and/or has not come into effect yet. The effective date is July 1st, 2014. So it's my understanding that since the contract hasn't started, the rescission of that award is not irreversible as of this date. So it is, from a procedural standpoint, and my comments are limited to procedure, it is not improper for a member to make a motion to rescind at a subsequent meeting.
Well, I mean, I believe that this is detrimental to the Assembly's interest.
May I comment? You asked for comments, Mr. Taylor.
You're in the discussion or debate phase of the motion. I'm going to defer the meeting to the board secretary to run this portion. Go ahead.
I don't believe that any valid reason has been stated to rescind the resolution we passed at the last meeting. Again, three individuals who are voting here tonight were not present at that meeting, and they did not hear the presentations. I think it's a terrible way to do business. If there were a valid reason for rescinding the resolution and the offer of the contract, then I would consider it. But no valid reason has been stated, and I think we're losing credibility. I think it reflects very poorly on this board, and I think people who wanted to vote should have been present to vote at the last meeting. But the worst part is that there is no valid reason that has been stated, and this is not a good way to do business.
As I brought up,
Finish? I was out last meeting, it was medical reasons, and I have the brochure for both companies. I believe that every member here should have the option to reconsider what was taking place the last meeting. There was only a few members.
And this sets a very bad precedent. Every time somebody's absent and wants to reconsider a resolution, is this what we're going to do? We're going to look like a bunch of clowns. We're supposed to be a professional school board, We made an offer. It was based on a very professional presentation, and again, I don't think any valid reason has been.
Excuse me.
May I please finish speaking?
Go ahead.
No valid reason has been stated. People, I just think it's the wrong thing to do.
Your reason is your valid reason, and my reason is my valid reason. So it's
Excuse
two
me.
different reasons.
Ms. President.
You consider your reason valid, I consider my valid false.
Excuse me, Mrs. President.
I didn't hear any reason.
I think we are professional, and the same thing we discussed in the back. And I had the same concern with the administrator contract. I think we spoke in the back. Why we voting again? That's why I abstain. I say no. Okay. So you had a choice. If you want, you can abstain or vote no. But I won't move my motion. I will keep it.
Lester,
Yes, ma'am.
is that motion legal?
The motion to rescind
Yes.
items 5.2 and 5.3 from June 11, 2014 meeting is procedurally proper pursuant to Robert's Rule of Order. The answer is yes, the motion from a procedural standpoint is fine.
Can we state for the record why these trustees would like to change?
I don't need to answer your question. I will give my motion.
Thank you, Superintendent. Can these trustees
If you check
please state
in
for
the
the record?
record last time, I was the only one vote yes. No. I vote for the same company, Alamo.
No, you voted for Brown and Brown at the last
No, look at the record. No, I
We
didn't
have
vote
it.
for him.
We
No,
have the
I was the
consent
only
agenda.
one. I was the only one. That's why I make the motion, because I wasn't happy. And I don't have to give the explanation. That's my opinion.
Right, so there is no reason then.
Excuse me, I would like to wrap this meeting and the conclusion of this because I have to go. We finish the meeting, yes or no?
Well, the board secretary, I guess you could ask any further discussion. If not, you can call the question.
I deserve respect because you guys voted before. I didn't make any comment. Why I had to give it so much explanation?
Because we spent an hour.
This is
we
illegal.
spent
I
an
don't have to
hour-
make an explanation.
We
The
spent-
lawyer say it's legal. I can do that right. That's it. Mr. Secretary,
We spent an hour.
can we finish
We
that?
spent an hour discussing this with the 3 presentations, and these board members are now trying to vote on this contract to overturn it, even though they have not even seen these presentations. I think that speaks volumes about why these trustees are voting the way they're voting.
Matthew Guzman, that is your opinion, and I.
Yes, that is my opinion.
take
I
your
wanna-
opinion, and I want to go through with the meeting, please.
So, Madam Chair, are you calling for a
Oh.
vote?
Okay?
Are you calling for the vote, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
No.
Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Palermo?
No.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
5 yeses, 3 nos.
Now we don't have a vote.
I would really appreciate if we did not have all of this comment coming from the audience. Okay, this is supposed to come from the board. I'm getting very tired of this. This is completely improper. We have board members who are not even making their own motions. We have people from the audience telling us what to do. Telling us what to do. This is not proper.
Do you have a minute there?
Mr. Vaughn, may I just,
Keep going with me.
and through the chair,
I
as
think this is
the,
personal. I think this is personal.
as the attorney for
Because
this.
I'm sorry. I mean, as a board member, I
Mr.
can
Vaughn,
make the
may I,
motion.
Mr. Vaughn, may I
This is
just,
personal.
Mr. Vaughn, ma'am, just as the attorney for this body, I believe it is my ethical and legal responsibility to make sure that the action that was being taken was clarified. I did not make a motion, sir. I clarified what Mr. Ball was doing or saying, and I further attempted to protect this body by making sure the motion was as specific as possible. The individual who you just referenced from the audience is is a member of the administration who works for and reports to Mr. Fountain. And I think that that was also an appropriate comment to make to advise the board that due to the motion to rescind agenda item 5.2 and 5.3, as of now, you will not have an insurance broker effective July 1, 2014. So the question to the body is, do you, as a body or an individual, intend to make a motion to appoint someone else? That's what I think the concern that was raised was. I don't think that was appropriate.
Well, I think we should
And
have...
I said it respectfully, sir.
Board Attorney, I mean, again, I'd like to repeat that if we are going to, now that we do not have a broker of record, I would suggest that this board put this out again to RFQ so that all the board members can see this presentation and so that all the people who bid have a fair chance.
We took a vote already, no?
Well, the comment was that he suggested that there be an RFP done. So Mr. Chang, you can make a motion to do an RFP, but the suggestion wouldn't necessarily control.
I'd like to make a motion for an RFP for health insurance and liability insurance broker of record.
Second.
Trustee Acosta?
No.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
No?
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Abstain.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
No.
President Reyes? This vote is to resolicit for an insurance broker and a health insurance broker. Without RFPs again. To do the process over. The vote is no. I just want you to say your vote is no to go to redo the process.
Exactly, because
Okay,
we
I just-
vote
You
already.
don't have to explain this.
We vote already.
No, I just wanted to be clear. That's all.
We got another motion.
Conclusion.
4 noes, 3 yeses, 1 abstention. The motion does not carry.
So that's me, my motion that I made before the season.
Let me explain what happened. The board rescinded the appointment of Brown and Brown from the June 11th meeting. That's what you did a few minutes ago. Just now, a motion was made to do the process again from scratch. And your decision to do that from scratch was no. So right now, you have no broker.
You have a broker now, you won't have one
You
July
won't have
1st.
July 1st. In less than a week, you'll have no broker.
We need another
motion.
I want to make a motion for new broker. Alan Manchula.
I'm sorry, can you just repeat that? You'd like a motion to?
I ask a motion for new broker, Alan Manchula.
Second.
Discussion by board members before we call the vote.
I'd like to repeat and reiterate everything I've stated previously, that I think it'd be completely improper for this board to take action on this without these board members who were not present at the last meeting to see the presentations of the candidates who submitted RFPs.
I have a comment, may I ask?
Without being interrupted. I'd like to reiterate what I said earlier. I think that it's completely improper for this board to take action on this, especially these board members who have not been present for the presentations of the candidates who submitted the RFPs. And, I think it looks terribly on this board that one minute we do one thing, next minute we do another, second thing, for no valid reason. No reason has been given for these board members to suddenly change their minds. I have not heard a valid reason. I have not heard any of the reasons that the brokers stated in their presentation. We all spent an hour listening to them. We asked very thoughtful questions about how they were saving this money. We went with Brown and Brown. I haven't seen any reason. No new information has been given to us about why we should change our minds.
I gave my reason that I told you that I have all information that I need to take my own decision. I did.
All right,
I explained you.
That's
that
why
did.
that's why I suggested that we just do the whole thing over
Well,
again.
you can suggest a lot of things, Mario. You can suggest a lot of things, but we can vote on that one. It's about how many people vote yes or no. Nobody here is pushing. I don't know what.
Okay,
Can I have my time to talk?
But you vote yes, it's up to you.
Mrs. President,
Yes.
my opinion is if you're doing a good job, why is changing?
Exactly. I asked Kevin to continue.
Okay. Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't understand what the motion is. Are we supposed to be voting on another insurance company right now? Is that what the motion
Can you
is?
explain it?
Mr. Franchetta, can you just repeat what the motion?
The motion is to appoint Alamo Insurance as the insurance broker for casualty and for health insurance. Trustee Acosta voted yes.
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
No.
Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Palermo?
No.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
No.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
The motion passes 5 yeses, 3 noes.
Conclusion? We have a broker, right?
Yeah, we have allowed.
We are at this point in the meeting, we're at public comments, so anyone who wishes to address the board, please come to the microphone here and state your name for the record. In accordance with West New York Board of Education Bylaw 0167, public participation in board minutes adopted April 22, 2009. Each participant shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration.
Good evening. Sandra Rivas, 890 Berkshire Valley Road, Wharton, New Jersey. I know my name has been discussed, and I just wanted to take this moment to thank you for renewing my contract for the 2014-2015 school year, and I promise you that I'm going to continue the good work that I've been doing with my department throughout the district. Have a good night.
I just want to make a quick point. I don't know any details whatsoever of any of these transfers, obviously. You guys know the details on them. I don't know the details on them. What I do know is there was a lot of teachers here, parents here, even children here who had something to comment on some of these transfers. And this board promised them the opportunity to speak before those transfers occurred, Mr. Falta. It wasn't a line there. This is what the board promised these people. And these people all went home or didn't come tonight because these items weren't supposed to be voted on, as your previous agenda points out. This is an agenda that came together after the executive session, and you didn't afford these people the opportunity to speak before the transfers got voted on, and these transfers were important to a lot of these people. I just think it's wrong to lie to your teachers, to the children, to the parents, and told them that they were going to have a voice, and then you took the voice right from under their feet. I just think that that's wrong.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Seeing no one, we'll close that section. Is there any board member comments?
May I speak?
Yes. I would like to comment on the transfers, and I would like to say that it will not go unnoticed that these people did come here, and that they did bring their children, and that they did bring parents and members from the community to come and speak. And I was one of those board members who went and questioned what was taking place. I feel that all don't need to be moved if some one person is not doing what is the appropriate job. There are other ways to handle it. And I am appalled by how we now will try to face the community.
Is there anyone else?
Board President, may I? So now that we're not going to work sessions, we go back to resolution meetings. Is that correct, Kevin?
Yes.
Are we going to have a resolution meeting for this next meeting? For the July 30th?
Do you mean an
So
agenda,
I'm-
an agenda set?
Yes, so we're doing that now. Until we,
That's a discussion of the superintendent. Any other comments?
I have a question. Could you just clarify what was just said? When did we agree that we were going to eliminate the work sessions? Did I miss something?
Whatever the board decides.
The advice or
I
comment
don't
that
know
I
that
gave.
is the work section mandatory, Lester, or we can go, what we have, because FAUTA indicate that we have a resolution meeting.
Yeah,
How
the-
this work, because I really need to know how this work. Who decide to do the meeting, the work section meeting every month? That is new to me.
What I indicated earlier was that presently the board meets once per month. It's my understanding that there's a policy that sets forth that meeting schedule. To the extent the board wants to amend the policies, we referenced earlier, I took Mr. Chang's suggestion and said that the revised policy that the board secretary has indicated he's already worked on be presented to the board at its next regularly scheduled meeting for the first reading. And then at the subsequent meeting, it'll be the second reading pursuant to policy. Then the board could take a roll call vote to determine whether it wants to amend its policy to now have 2 meetings per month, 1 work session and 1 action regular meeting versus 1 meeting.
That was a suggestion.
That was the advice I gave earlier.
Was a suggestion. Was nothing imposed.
Well, it was a suggestion slash advice,
Okay.
but it's still, as of now, there's only 1 meeting per month.
Okay.
So the question was whether there will be, I guess, the monthly agenda
The
meeting.
board had agreed last time to go to the work session. It was the board who made this decision.
Okay, but my understanding is there's a policy that sets forth the meeting schedule. So in order to do that, you need to amend the policy. That's all.
Alan, can you?
Just for everyone's clarity, the board had said, the board had asked the administration to put together a policy, and basically to put together a policy to have a work session and a voting session. Kevin created a policy for your review. It's before you now. The first reading will be July 3rd. At that at the meeting on July 30, you can have discussion to your heart's content to determine whether you want to keep the policy as written or adopt or even change what is being presented for you. Once that's done, after the July 30 meeting, if there's any changes, you'll be voting on it at the next regular meeting. If there are no changes, you'll be voting on that at the next regular meeting. If you want to kill it on July 30 and go back to the way it's been now, then you can do that too. Nothing's been voted on, nothing's been changed. There's a written policy, as Mr. Chang had asked, Trustee Chang had asked for previously, Dr. Piscitelli has been asking for a year, for a policy that says a work session and a voting session. That's what's before you now to review. You will have discussion on it pursuant to the rules. You'll have discussion on that issue on July 3rd. So that's what you need to do.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Not, may I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second. Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Chang?
Yes.
Trustee Palermo?
Yes.
Trustee Parkinson?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rodas?
Yes.
President
Reyes.
Meeting is adjourned.